Good morning, good evening. Today we're talking to Drew from Frens Place. This conversation is brought to you by Stacks Ventures. Frens Place is growing communities and DAOs for Stacks NFT, GameFi, and DeFi projects. The list includes CrashPunks, Project Indigo, stacculents, and you guys have helped us tremendously with Bitcoin Pizza NFTs. So thanks so much, Drew. Frens Place is currently in the Stacks Startup Accelerator. If you're an investor, please DM Drew for a demo day invite.
Yeah, awesome. It's going really well. Thanks for having me. So to find us, we're at Frens, F-R-E-N-S, like up here, .place. And at that website, you can find, there's links to download the bot for Discord, which is sort of a key piece of our app, as well as to join our own Discord and just get other information as well. All the docs and things are there. I founded Frens because I was doing a lot of work in the community. I built some DAO tooling. I got into Stacks right around the 2.0 release. And I started building DAO tooling. Lewis, actually from the foundation, found an old app that I had worked on a few years ago that was a DAO tool. And he said, we need some DAO tools. You should, do that over here. So I did that and built Miami Voice, which was for the Miami Coin Hackathon. And that was really fun. It was basically anyone with Miami Coin could vote on initiatives to spend the wallet money. That was the idea. But in the process of that, I ended up working with all these different communities. And I ended up joining on with some of the larger NFT projects to help them sort of grow their projects and grow their communities. And what I learned in that process was that there's all kinds of problems with what's happening in Web3 communities. Marketing it's a whole different way of marketing in Web3 than we did in Web2 and previously. Before it was mostly sort of inbound, you'd get people to come and sign up. There's the concept of product led where people would download in the freeware and then they could, add on more features. But those things don't work in Web3. It's all about community. And I'm even finding now that I've been out here is that more and more of these non-Web3 companies are actually using Web3 to market their own by launching NFT projects and stuff. So everyone's coming in this new method of marketing and there's no tools for it. It's crazy. Like these community owners and moderators are spending so much time just doing manual tasks, getting wallet addresses, adding people to their whitelist from partner collaborations, having people do invites, so they'll have some kind of a contest to see who can get the most invites and new members into the Discord. But then they have to get the proof of that and then add a role to someone, and all this stuff is done manually. It's crazy actually how much work is being done. So that's where Frens came about.
And I'll be the first one to tell you, using Frens has saved us a ton of time for the Bitcoin Pizza NFTs. We were in the same boat, right? So running contests on Twitter, we'll say, hey, if you like and tag 2 people and then jump in the Discord, then you also have to verify. But then we also have to take the data from Discord and Twitter, then just compare and contrast, make sure, then actually compare that with, okay, did you have a wallet? Did you say you have a wallet? Then where do you put all that data, right? So do you just have this open spreadsheet for everyone's wallet? And that's not the privacy focused tools that I would like to build, but that's the best way to do it today, right? Mm-hmm. So this solves a ton of those problems. When any projects are launching too, and they want to get those whitelist spots and then add the roles to Discord, you can do that with Frens.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, so that's the plan. I mean, our plan is to make it Web3 native from the beginning. So, Discord's where a lot of conversation happens now, but it also happens in other places. And there will invariably be other tools that arise to compete with Discord or supplement Discord. And we intend to integrate with these as they come along. We really want to become sort of a central platform that's really outside of these tools. But for now, really, it's all about making that wallet connection so that it becomes Web3 native. And then from there, It's easy. You can get people's wallet addresses within Discord. You can also read. So, and this is currently live in our system where we have token gating. So you can say, if someone comes into our Discord and they're holding one or more of these NFTs, then assign this role automatically. If they're holding 5 or more, then assign this role, and you can set these all up yourself. So that way, you can have different places for different people depending on what their token holdings are. And then once you have that connection, as we get down the road, we're going to add Twitter connections. So then there can be incentives within the community, say, hey, can you share this tweet? And if people share it, then you're able to track that. And having the wall address also allows you to give people NFT drops and do the reward mechanism, because that's part of just reinforcing this, growing the community and participation. So it'll be really interesting to see how it evolves. It's already exciting now, and we've got a new tool out for tracking invites that should be out by the end of this month for sure. And then we have a bunch of other things on the roadmap. So, and the whole idea is to make better and more engaged communities, right? Like even our invite tracker, the idea is, so currently there are invite tracker bots you can get in Discord. Most of them incentivize getting as many invites as you can, right? So oftentimes you'll see whitelist where you have to get 10 invites and then you can get whitelisted. The problem with that is it ends up being very spammy, right? People end up doing whatever they can to get those 10 invites. And sometimes it can lead to having fake accounts and all this stuff that they're just garbage users, right? Well, our invite tracker, and this is kind of the ethos that we want to have as we build this company out, is instead of just blanket getting a certain number of invites, you get points. So if you invite someone directly and they join, you get a point for that person. But then if they invite someone, then you get another half a point. For example, I don't know, it might be 100 points and 50 points. But the idea is if you invite people that have an affinity that are interested in this group, who end up inviting more people, you're growing the group in an actual, true and organic way. And so that's incentivized versus just blanket spamming whoever you can get to come into the Discord.
Tell us about the company Frens Place, and do you guys see the services and products for being able to interact with tokens or NFTs as a service, or is the service going to be provided for any of the crypto communities on Stacks initially to use the product as a way to incentivize their communities?
Yeah, so our plan is the wallet connector and the token gating will always be free. That's our intention. That's a tool that every project needs, and so we're willing to open that up to the community. And in the beginning, I think some of our other tools will be we'll let people beta test and use as we grow out the tool, just to make sure that it gets right, because we want to make sure that we're creating a tool that actually is helping communities. I think eventually down the road we'll have some of the growth tools, the powerful growth tools will be some kind of subscription, whether it's NFT based or, I'm not sure how exactly we'll do that. I have some ideas, but we haven't finalized that, let me put it that way. And then we'll probably also have enterprise licensing for, some of the larger companies. There are a lot of big like consumer product good companies and things that are coming into this space. And they're going to need tools, but they're going to have a lot of people in their, in their system. A company like Adidas comes on to do an NFT launch, and there's going to be, lots of people in that community. So we want to make sure that, the licensing is such so that we can guarantee uptime and all that. So right now we're in bootstrap mode. We're in the process of fundraising. We have some advisors, and our core team is myself and my CTO, who his name is Ivan Kovic, or Ivan, in Croatia, and I actually worked with him at my previous job. And he's a stellar developer, lead dev kind of person, really sharp. so I trust him implicitly. And then we have a couple of other devs that are working on the site, one on the back end, and one who's full stack that's helping, with everything basically. Honestly, it's kind of a challenge. For Frens, we have the advantage that at this point, we don't have any smart contracts. We're not doing anything that's really, Web3 native as such. We integrate with the APIs and the wallets and things like that, just to read and whatnot, but we don't have to worry about Clarity developers or Solidity or anything like that. But I know that is a challenge. The good news is that most of everything other than the smart contracts is kind of on a standardized, it's React and Node and the usual suite. So finding devs to do that is not difficult at all. But on the blockchain side, it's a whole different way of thinking. It's a whole other ball game. I know Higher Vibes, they were a stacked accelerator company that has a DAO. It's kind of like I was gonna say like Indeed kind of meets Freelancer, or whatever that is now. I don't remember Freelancer or something else now, but it's basically that, and that helps. But otherwise, you post ads and you reach out to your network and you do kind of how you always did. Also have the advantage of I wrote a course on LinkedIn basically years ago in 2017 on writing smart contracts and dApps for Ethereum. So I've got a bunch of followers on LinkedIn, so I can typically get a few people that way. But Clarity, it's a whole other thing.
No, great mention. And if you guys are looking for any talent in the Web3 space, especially for stacks, definitely go to Higher Vibes. And they were a part of the first cohort.
Yeah, and there's still people on those platforms, that do smart contract development. But Clarity is a little harder to find. I find it's good to look in the Stacks Discord, the main Stacks Discord. There are some channels for developers and things, and there's also Civita is a guild within. It's like a DAO within the Stacks ecosystem, and they have a Discord as well, and there's some good devs in there. The thing is, it's such a tight community, and everyone's so close, and just reaching out on Twitter and messaging people, and you'll be surprised how quickly someone knows someone who's got some time or got some talent, and it happens.
No, so true. And Kenny the Rogers and Maria Verse, really talented, and they're a part of the foundation now. So great, yeah. They've been great additions.
So Bitcoin, I discovered in 2013. I don't remember what exactly it was. At the time, I had like a wine commerce startup. It was like a marketplace for selling boutique wines. I was a winemaker for a very short stint. So I was into that, but there was a problem I was trying to solve in that space. And I don't know why. At some point, I came across Bitcoin and ended up going down the rabbit hole, reading about Satoshi and doing KYC for some exchange and doing all that stuff. And I remember thinking at $400, it was so expensive. Like, I can't believe people are holding on to this. I wish I had held on to some. But oh well. That's the funny thing, like everyone assumes that people who've been around in Bitcoin for a long time are whales. But the reality is, there are some people that saw it, believed, and held on to it for so long, but it was by no means a certainty, and it was at that point it was pretty nascent. And so I was just playing around with it. We actually accepted Bitcoin at our store, so you could buy wine with Bitcoin. But I thought it was an amazing technology, and I thought there were a lot of potentials, and so I always watched it and followed it. And when Ethereum came around, and the whole ICO boom of 2017, I was paying attention. And in fact, I had invested in Blockstack back then in their initial coin raise that they did on, was it CoinList? Yeah, so I've always been interested in that, and that's how I found that. I thought Munib's vision of sort of a can't be evil internet really spoke to me, built around Bitcoin. That was great. And I know it's not exactly what the vision is anymore, but it's still along the same lines and still built around Bitcoin. So when Stacks 2 came out, I thought that was also an extremely interesting model. The whole concept of staking or stacking your stacks and proof of transfer was very impressive. And so I was all in.
That's funny you said that, because I knew about Bitcoin back in 2014 too. And a lot of people, they do assume, well, if you heard about it back then, well, you must be a millionaire. And and I mean, even today, there are going to be people who see Bitcoin as a scam, and they're like, I don't trust it. And it's going to take them another like 5 to 6 years to say, you know what, I'm going to dip my toe into this thing. And that's how I see Stacks. I really see, I bought Stacks in the second ICO. And so I was just holding it, and I totally forgot about it too, but I knew about the app mining program and things like that. But I just thought a couple of years later, like, oh man, I exchanged all my ETH for the Stacks, and I don't know if it's really doing anything. And then the launch happened, and then we were just kind of off to the races again. And I really see Stacks as, if you built Ethereum on top of Bitcoin, which Vitalik wanted to initially, but the Bitcoin maxis pushed him aside and dismissed the idea. So I just thought, okay, if you built Ethereum on top of Bitcoin, you get Stacks.
Yeah, absolutely. So we, I mean, I'm very bullish on Stacks, and I love the community and in all of our contexts. We have partners within the community, you know, like Hey Layer and Gamma, and you know, we've worked with the Mintery, which is like an accelerator for NFTs. So, you know, we've definitely, I have big hopes for Stacks, and I think that it's going to grow very fast, and I think it's going to be different. And having insider information in terms of being in the accelerator and seeing all these different companies, but also seeing all the things that the foundation is doing and the work that's happening on the building side of things. There's a lot of stuff going on. This, you know, we're a year into really having this new blockchain, and a little more, almost a year and a half, I guess. But the tooling we have is extremely sophisticated when you compare it to, you know, where Ethereum was and where Solana was at the same point. So I feel like there's a lot of quality infrastructure being built right now, and that's definitely going to bear out. But in terms of, you know, interacting with other chains, we'll eventually go to other chains. There's so many Web3 communities that can use this tooling, and it's not specific to any blockchain. So, you know, we're going to add support for Ethereum probably this summer, and we're looking at Solana and maybe, you know, some of the other chains. But yeah, we do intend on being a multi-chain platform for sure.
Ileana and Mitchell did an amazing job with the whole program.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I can say I like what they're doing with Big Tree, the Big Trees NFT. That guy's great, and he's doing some really interesting like environmental work in terms of he's come up with a good model to use crypto to keep from cutting down trees, to basically create an income stream for to replace the income stream that was being made for these giant old growth trees that were being chopped down, which is super smart, and I like it a lot. Grace High is this Parisian person, HYE. She's an artist, and she has some really beautiful artwork. The Atelier Constant, it's like a furniture one.
I saw that, the Constant, that was really cool
too. But I met with a bunch of them, and was really impressed with the breadth of, you know, different types of projects that they had and these different artists. And I thought there was some great stuff that came out of that.
No, that's really cool. And love just mentioning the names here. We want to highlight all of the good work around the ecosystem, especially in the Mintery. I love the concept of using NFTs in real life too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stackers believe that we're going to be multi-chain. It's just inevitable. People won't care in the next 10 to 20 years what chain you're on. They're just going to care, can I connect my application, or can I use an application, and can I have digital ownership and as a sovereign individual, right? So that they won't care. How on your roadmap, how do you guys roll out multi-chain strategy in addition to all the things that you want to build, because it's still pretty difficult right now to connect to other chains? You guys have a really cool mental model, but you call it the Web3 community model canvas. Can you tell people more about that? I think too, as we get deeper into Web3, and then we see we just had a Twitter space on Monday night. We were talking to Blue Studios NFT, and they have wallet for families and for kids, and other NFT for Learn to Earn. And we talked to One Huddle that does learning and education, and they actually are a Web2 company that's coming over to the Web3. I think as time goes on, these models on Web3 community is going to be so important.
Yeah. So, I mean, I found exactly what you're saying. You know, the more I talk to community members, and especially when I was talking to artists and things that they wanted to do NFT projects, but they didn't know how to sort of contextualize it, or they didn't know, you know, I think a lot of people had the assumption, and maybe this was true at one point, but it's not anymore, where good art will sell NFTs. And yeah, that's a piece of it without a doubt. But ultimately, and this is also what the right-click sort of anti-NFT movement misses out on, is that owning an NFT isn't just owning a JPEG. It's actually access to be part of a community. And all these groups, and this is true for DAOs too, not just NFTs, but NFTs is what you see most often. Even DeFi communities, is they have, you know, there's different elements and aspects of those communities. And so what I discovered was that, you know, a lot of people were struggling with growing their community because they hadn't taken a step back and thought about what exactly the community was about. So that's what the community model canvas is for. It's similar to the business model canvas, which people used a lot when they were starting companies. It was kind of a lean startup thing. And it's just a way of sort of graphically, there's different squares, and in each square you sort of put elements to represent different aspects of your company. And this is what it is with community. Like there's three key elements that I think are core to every project in Web3. And one is, what's the uniting principle, right? And I was talking to Hadan and Alex, he's the community manager there. And he was saying, you know, he calls that the ethos, right? But like, what is the sort of raison d'etre for coming to this community, right? It might be the art. In a lot of NFT projects, it is the art. In the Big Trees project, for example, it's about those old growth trees and saving those trees. And in other projects, there are different things. So, you know, what is the uniting principle that brings people together? And then what's the social aspect of the community? What do they have to talk about, right? So if everyone is coming there for this reason, then what are they going to talk about? What kind of activities are they going to do? Some are fun. Some of these NFT projects are about games and things. And it's funny, when you go from Discord to Discord, you can see like they're very different communities, right? Like if you go to Stacculents, for example, it's the most adorable community you've ever seen. I mean, these people are so sweet and so nice, and they're great and they're super friendly. I love it in there. You know, but then you go to something else like the Weirdos, which is Mr. Xeon. He was part of Megapont. He started this on Ethereum. it's a little more sort of adult oriented, and a little more off kilter, and it's different. It's unusual. So these communities are very different. So what they do socially in the communities, that's a key aspect. And then the other piece is, what's the utility, right? What is it like? If I own this NFT, what can I do with it, right? And it's getting to the point now where there's actually, everyone used to have these roadmaps of like, this is what our NFT is going to do, and everyone used to build these products by scratch. It was like, we're going to launch this NFT, and then we're going to have an airdrop, and then we're going to have staking for the NFTs, and then we're going to do a coin release. And that was like the thread that every single one had. And now it's, yeah, you can do that, but now it's like more is expected. Like, what is the utility for it? What do I get from holding this NFT? What access can I have? Does it get me into the metaverse? Can I use my PFP as an avatar in Moonray? Or, what can I do with these things? And so I think thinking those three aspects out, and usually it's one of those three is the sort of predominant cause, right? Like, it's an artist driven thing, or there's something social about it, or, or there's a utility that people are there for, that sort of drive it. But it's good to know those things. And then there's a bunch of other things to think out sort of around that and get a holistic view of your community. And I think it helps, just like everything else, when you think something through and you build upon that foundation, you're not making all these mistakes and figuring out all these things as you go along. You have a good idea of why everyone's there and what you need to do. And then it's just a matter of figuring out how to execute on that. Who are the right partners, and who, how's what's the best way to get new members? What do our members look like? All that kind of stuff is amazing. I can't say enough. Even there are people in the accelerator that have started companies before. I've started companies before. I know the general process of what needs to be done, but having their support and their perspective is invaluable. There's, Trevor and Kyle and Andrea are super smart people, have great feedback. And they, every time I meet with them, I like have a fresh perspective on things, even if I thought I was totally on the right track, which is awesome. And then just the way that they carry things out, I feel like, in my early days in startups, I'm way past, where I would have been a number of months in, just a couple weeks in the accelerator. So it's invaluable. And the connections. And then the other piece of it is there's so many great mentors. So, they have all these different programs. Basically every day of the week we get together. And sometimes it's interactive, and sometimes it's just learning from someone who's been there. But it's always invaluable. And everyone sort of helps out, and their team of speakers and mentors are all top notch. And then the last piece is just the cohort itself. We have our own Discord group, and everyone in this cohort helps each other, and there's all kinds of synergies in what we're doing, and partnerships that have been generated out of it. And even the first cohort, like you mentioned Chante before, and others, they're accessible as well, and they sort of have been supportive of our work and helped us along. So it's been great. I mean, I can't say enough about the program. If I was anyone who's starting a startup on Stacks, I think you'd be remiss if you didn't at least try to get into the accelerator. You can do it without the accelerator, but it's a lot easier with the accelerator and faster.